hatzius at 210. You must have been very surprised on a positive note from these numbers.
Yeah, I mean, we had taken it down to 210 from 250 and clearly shouldn't have done that. But, I think in general the message has been a good one on the labor market. And I think this was a strong report, not just in the employment numbers, in the payroll employment numbers, but also in the household employment numbers, despite the increase in the unemployment rate, which was due to more people in the workforce.
And we've seen better wage growth. We've seen it across sectors. I mean, there's a lot of improvement in this report. It's being reflected in the Treasury market right now. Yields up across the board.
Yeah.
Do you have to bring forward your expectation that the Federal Reserve is going to increase interest rates in September?
I mean, I think June is certainly possible, and the probability of June has gone up with this report. I think if it had been a weak report, or even just a moderate one, then I think the probability of June would have gone down a lot. That said, I still think that, despite the improvement in the labor market, inflation is 0.7 percentage points below the target. Headline inflation is probably going to be negative or zero. Wages, even with this correction of the December downward surprise, which turned out to be completely spurious, are still only growing 2% or a little more than 2%. That's the same rate that we've seen for 5 years. So if you look at all of the wage indicators together, we haven't made any headway in terms of the growth of wages in 5 years, and it's still pretty far below the sort of 3 to 4% range that Janet Yellen basically indicated was a normal pace of
So no reason to think that 2.2 is an indicator of an real, sustainable acceleration in wages.
I don't see it really when I look at all of the different indicators together. I mean, there's clearly an improvement on the employment side, and I would expect some acceleration in wages. But I think just looking at the data, it's not really obvious. So from that perspective, I think the case for patience is still quite a good one.
The argument would be that we're getting closer to maximum employment, and that the labor market is tightening, and it has been. If you look at the trend, in fact, the last 3 months,
right,
that number went up even higher.
Yes.
So where are we in terms of where we should be relative to a normal full unemployment?
So everything you say is correct. The labor market is tightening. We are getting closer, but all of those statements are changes, right? We're moving towards where we need to be. The debate is still around where we are in terms of the level of employment relative to normal employment, and the employment to population ratio, if you take the broadest measure of employment, is still 4 percentage points below where it was in 2006. You can explain 2 percentage points of that with the aging of the population, but that still leaves quite a lot of room potentially, and I think the wage numbers are telling us that
we're not there.
We're just not that close yet, although we're clearly getting closer, no question about that. But for me, also with everything that's going on in the world and the impact on inflation that's coming from other places in the world, I think the case for patience is still quite strong as far as I can tell.